Didn't start with Axel for me. It started with
Okay.
Merle.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Casting brought a lot of us in to read for Merle.
Wow.
And it was the monologue on the roof where he was cuffed. It's beautiful. And thankfully, they hired Michael Rooker, who's obviously a friend of mine.
Mm.
He was great. Several weeks later, they called us all, the same dudes, back in and asked us to read for Merle's brother, who
Yeah.
didn't have a name at the time and he didn't have any lines. Just read the same material you had read last month, but do it differently as if you're his brother. It was
Mm.
very vague. And thankfully, they found Norman Reedus, obviously, to read for Daryl, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So by the time Axel came around, they had a certain awareness of me, Lew Temple, casting did, and they asked me to put on tape um, some sort of fake sides. I remember it was a conversation with T Dog about facial hair, about mustaches, and it was kind of comical. So I didn't really, I'm not sure it was part of what the gravitas of the show was,
Mm.
but I I did it kind of kind of joyously, and
Yeah.
I think they appreciated the heart that I brought to it, or the lightheartedness, I should say, the lightheartedness that Axel had the possibility of bringing. Because in the graphic novels, Axel's kind of heavy dude. I mean,
Yeah. I feel
physically,
like
he's
in
way
the
big.
novels they said he was more aggressive.
Yeah,
Didn't they?
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Didn't
and
they?
and also maybe not ultra trustworthy, and maybe you didn't want to cross that guy, and so. There are a lot of elements to Axel that I love in the graphic novels, but then I certainly uh, had to walk away from. Although in building Axel, I always wanted to maintain some secrets
Mm.
that were in the closet. I wanted to have some ingredients that weren't on the label, the
Yeah.
recipe
Yeah.
label, right? And so, because I was well aware, and we had conversed about with production with the writers that, at some point Axel had taken um, the two young girls out into the woods for a mercy killing. He had
Wow.
kidnapped him, and
Yeah.
he'd done this awful thing, which was sort of pointing to someone like Beth, for instance.
Yeah. Mm.
And I was reserving some fangs to have available if we should go that route. What ultimately happened, of
Yeah.
course, is that the governor shows up. They needed the governor to draw first blood. He couldn't show up and rattle his saber. I've used that term
Mm.
twice
Mm.
now. And then walk away, be impotent, right? So that he had to may have a kill, and I drew the short straw. It wasn't an absolute. There was a lot of consternation on that decision,
Yeah.
and I appreciate the fact that I had landed Axel as a character well enough that they gave it strong thought to keep him around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know how many auditioned for Axel. I would say the I would say at least 100. The usual suspects for sure.
Mm.
And so I'm grateful that it fell on me, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Of
I will
course.
always be grateful. And Lloyd, it's the gift that keeps on giving. I can go anywhere, and somebody says, "Oh, you did Axel in season 3 of The Walking Dead. I love that season," and and so we go out and do conventions, as you know, we do public appearances and we meet the audience, and
Mm.
it's been a wonderful experience. It's been
So,
amazing.
so you said about auditioning for Mel's character originally. Would you have taken that role? Would you have taken that role if that was given to you for his character
Yeah.
instead?
Yeah. I mean, I had known what The Walking Dead was because of my background in the Rob Zombie movies for horror.
Mm.
And so the graphic novel, some people call it a comic book, like me back in the day.
Mm.
Um, but with respect, the graphic novel had come across my desk as something that was being pitched as a television series, and I thought it was way too violent in its presentation to ever
Really?
be on television.
So
That's
was that
back.
was that kind of putting you off the job? Would you say originally?
No, I just didn't think they could pull it off. I'm like,
Mm.
oh well, the comic, the graphic novel is really, uh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
it's really dug in. They won't be able to. And then I saw the first season. I was like, holy crap, they did it. And and then they were starting to build, right? And
Mm,
look for pieces to build per the model of the graphic novels of Robert Kirkman's work. And so I think when we went in to read for it, we didn't have any at that point. You know, we're auditioning for season three, which was, you know, or I was. Well, I had already auditioned. You know, the Merle thing had happened, and they had shot it, and so I didn't know that it was this phenomena. Even when I showed up on set, I didn't know how big, and
okay.
it didn't really start. I mean, it had landed for sure by season three, but by season three, we really started to explode with the numbers of
Wow.
viewerships, and then it became this cultural phenomena. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so did you watch season one before joining the show? Like, did you know anything about it, did you
Yeah.
say? Okay.
Yes, I did. I knew because I wanted to know the tone and what they were going
Yeah.
for, and so I
Oh, so you
recognized.
watched it when you got the audition or before the
Yeah,
audition, was it? Yeah.
yeah. And yet I was trying. I understood too that what was potentially going to set me apart was maybe something that was more um, fun than being so heavy-handed. You know, I
Mm.
wasn't doing Sheriff Rick Grimes. You know, I wasn't handcuffed to the top of a roof in Atlanta where I was going to have to cut my hand off to escape. Uh, you know, I I just felt Axel had some heart to wear on his sleeve, and that's how I approached it. And I think ultimately that's what got me the job.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Is that it's crazy. Axel was such like a unique character to the show. Like, were you ready to sort of walk in with the other prisoners as well? Like, was you expecting that when you joined to be with another group of prisoners
I felt
for the
like
show?
we were all so off balance as to what our the process of getting the job, the audition
Mm,
process, the material that was provided to us to audition was vastly different than what we were being asked to do for our characters. And
yeah.
for instance, for my character, Axel, he was presented to me as someone who had been a drug dealer, a drug user.
Yeah.
So I really portrayed a certain white knuckling withdrawal, withdrawal sickness and nervousness
Mm,
and you know, just clenching my hands. Everyone was asking, are your hands cold? Why are you, you know, why,
yeah. Yeah.
why? And that turns out midway through my character arc, that wasn't who he was at all, which, you know, I had to then make reason that maybe I was trying to hide something else with that sort of decoy
Mm,
process. But so we all were off balance as the prisoners, and we all understood who we thought we were coming in was not who we were going to be going forward.
yeah.
And I felt like that put us into this really strange survival mode that was very naturalistic to what the characters' needs were, and it served the scenes that we were
Mm,
doing, and so it was really great. I think it was either a happy accident for production or incredible wisdom from
mm.
the writers and producers and directors. So The
Amazing.
Walking Dead was really incredible. Let me just touch on showing up and arriving. I didn't know anybody other than Norman Reedus. I didn't know any of the other actors.
Wow.
And I had known Norman from Hollywood and just being about and hanging out.
Mm,
And I didn't see I couldn't find his name on the doors of the trailers.
yeah. Yeah.
And there were all these code names like Tyrannosaurus Rex or Madagascar or Razorback or Fang Villain, all these like strange. And I thought I had sort of maybe been duped and signed up to do a webisode or something.
Okay. Maybe it's because they
And
have to hide the actors' names, like for what
I
caravan
didn't
they're in.
understand that. You
Yeah.
get it now, but it was just strange. And then finally Norman came out. But Andrew Lincoln, Sarah Wayne Callies, who played Laurie,
Mm,
John Bernthal, who played Shane, obviously. The three of them made a pact at the beginning of the show. We're doing a show ostensibly about zombies. We called them walkers. We were sort of trying to give them their credence and called them walkers as opposed to zombies. But it's a show about zombies, let's be honest. And this thing may not take off, but let's do the best work that we can. Maybe we'll get ourselves an opportunity somewhere else. We
mm,
do the first season, 6 episodes. We show that we're proper actors, and maybe another television show has interest in us. That was the approach. They worked incredibly hard at not just being great actors and authentic to their characters, but also being a unit. And
mm,
I had worked a lot by then, Lloyd, and I had never experienced the camaraderie or the come together. They're all pulling on the same side of the rope. No
mm.
hierarchy, no divas. And Andrew Lincoln, when you show up, he greets you. He was next up with open arms. Hey,
Really?
been waiting for you. We
Yeah.
need you. Help us build here. You have special skills. We need you. Can't
Mm,
wait to get going. And he is he's sort of, to use that term that we used 2 years ago. I don't know what it is now, but he was the GOAT, okay? The greatest of
okay.
all time.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he was our Beckham, or for us here in the States, our Tom Brady, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
tireless worker. One of your countrymen, let's be honest, worked incredibly hard at every take. And he would work endless and tirelessly with trying things. I seldom see an actor try something different every time
Mm,
and to see if it works. Let's try this. Let's see if this works. No, that doesn't work. Be honest, guys. Did that work? No, Andy, that was terrible. Okay, let's not
mm.
go there anymore. And so it was really a gift to get to experience Andrew Lincoln
Wow.
in the work process in the day. And
He was a real leader, it sounds like.
absolutely,
True
absolutely,
to his name.
the
Yeah.
show doesn't succeed without him, and then particularly the three of them. But so you see, then with that invitation upon your arrival, that's kind of the bar that's set, and you take it on, and then you pass it on to the next, right?
Mm,
Denai shows up as Michonne. Hey, Denai, what we do here is we receive you in gratitude and in great anticipation of all the wonder that you're
mm.
going to do. And you're part of the family now. And my God, it's great to have you. And so then that gets passed on. And I think until the end, that's really how it was maintained.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel like he sort of, I know you made your moment as your character, but do you feel like he made like everyone's moment sort of happen on screen, for them? Do you feel like he sort of
He understood
pushed, yeah,
he
if that
understood the
makes sense.
importance. Um, and then I think too, I can't speak to the later seasons, but there was a time and a place where all roads led to the sheriff.
Mm,
All episodes were built for him to make decisions for the good of the group, right?
mm,
There may be some dissension. He may have to confront somebody who has different opinions, but it was really all about Rick and
mm,
his survival and his effort to have the group survive. And then I felt when the show grew and started being about others' interests, i.e., I don't know, maybe Woodbury, but definitely Alexandria, definitely Hilltop, definitely the Negan's crew, the Whispers. It's the
mm,
storyline started to grow, right? And just like anything else, we grow. What we talk about at the beginning of this episode change, right? And you have to change. And we inherently all knew what story we were telling was about Rick Grimes' decision making process for this effort.
mm.
How you gonna handle this, boss? And And I found that to lend itself to us all pulling on that same side of the rope.
Mm. Yeah.
You know, like if you're
Well,
going against those group of guys, Negan's trying to survive on his own. He doesn't give a flip about what
mm,
Rick's got trying to do, right? And
mm.
so I just feel like the we didn't have that ethos, pathos. We didn't have that pull on us. We knew we were there to serve.
Yeah.
And it wasn't serve Andrew Lincoln, the actor. It wasn't there to necessarily serve Rick Grimes, the character. It was there to serve the story of The Walking Dead that
Mm.
Robert Kirkman had built. That's what it was.
Well,
And it was a joy. It was really a great experience telling the story, which is what we do. Look, if all this goes away, and we have to wait 8 minutes to get suited up again to do this. There's a campfire just down outside there, Lloyd, that we'd all sit around, and one of us would start with "Once Upon a Time," and then one
yeah.
of us might finish "Happily Ever After." It's still the story, right? It's still
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
story, and that's what we were talking about. What's under the bed? What's in the closet? What next? What happened next, Lloyd? Tell
Mm.
us. And so I think it's really gratifying to know you're part of the story and
Yeah.
and to be telling it. At least in my place of experience at that time in my career, that's exactly where I needed to be and wanted to be.
Mm. Yeah. I know you had the comic book, but did you sort of give yourself a backstory for Axel before going in? Did you sort of like try and
Yeah,
elaborate on him?
I tried to build something that was very colloquial. I wanted him to be very authentic for that Southern generation,
Mm.
which I'm from the South, so that's very easy for me. I wanted him to be, as I said, somebody that wore his heart on his sleeve, that tried maybe too hard to fit in. There's
Mm.
always that friend that's trying too hard. I'll buy, I'll get it, I'll
Yeah,
do,
yeah.
And I wanted him to have that. I wanted him to be likable. I
Mm.
wanted people to like him so that if we did spin it, if we did rip off the clothes and we see this tattooed maniac, Jim tattooed,
Mm.
prison buff, jailhouse tattoos, just this monster. Oh, shoot, that'd be a very scary reveal.
Mm.
So to land that, let's make him just everybody's favorite little uncle, right there.
Yeah.
Um, I'm glad we never, personally, I'm glad we never got to the place of the really considering that he might be somebody who he didn't seem to be. I like that
Yeah.
he was he was a good dude
Yeah.
ultimately.
Did you like the relationship he had with Carol?
Yeah,
How did
I
you view
did.
that? Yeah.
I did. Well, I feel like very natural. He was just trying to make friends,
Mm.
and he kind of got off on the wrong foot with her, and then he sort of won her over with his. I wouldn't even call it charm, Lloyd. I would just call it, his sort of, idiot, just effort to.
Mm.
He can't help himself but kind of put his foot in his mouth. You got the short hair,
Yeah.
and then for them to have some tender moments of, family. Obviously, she had been through so much, and maybe she was just touching him to feel like, could he be someone I could share some of where I've come from with as a victim of spousal abuse
Mm.
and a daughter having lost and all these things.
Yeah.
Maybe the two of us have a lot in common. And then before we even get to that place, she's got blood on her hands,
Yeah.
which was really important to me to make sure that she had blood on her hands.
Yeah.
And I wanted her to have to deal with, like, in living in in camera, in frame, in time with death
Mm,
and survival all in the same. And so when we built that, none of that was really designed. I did let her know, look, when I'm shot, I'm I'm done. What you do is up to you.
yeah.
Uh, I'll take care of myself physically, but I don't know how it's going to go. But I did know that I was going to make her part of it. I did know I was going to drop in her arms. I did know. I didn't tell her. I didn't
Yeah, yeah.
tell her, but I did know that my blood was going to get on her hands. I did know that she was going to have to either push me aside or set me down, and wisely she used me as a bullard, I think they call it, or a shield. As a
How do you feel that you still your character still somehow saved her while dying? Like
Yeah, I
how do you
like
feel
to
about that?
say that. I like to say if it wasn't for Axel laying there as a human sandbag, Carol might not have made it through that
Mm,
barrage of bullets,
mm,
right?
mm. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
fan theories around that as well. I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And I, I
Did
give I give Melissa McBride, the actor, all the credit on the build of the Axel Carol relationship,
yeah.
starting with the conversation, because her reaction, what Melissa McBride is genius as an actor, but as sometimes in the industry we call it as a reactor. She's really good.
Mm,
I find Halle Berry to be a really good reactor. I've worked with her in Kidnap. I've never
wow.
worked with Michael
Was you in
Fassbender, but
Kidnap? That was an incredible movie, Kidnap was.
yeah,
I'm trying to
I
remember who you
took
was.
I took Miss Berry's son. I'm the guy
Oh
that takes.
wow. I'll have to
Yeah,
look into that again. I'll have to go back to that
I'm kind of
movie.
the shark. I'm kind of Jaws, man. I'm
Mm,
kind of the predator. And Melissa McBride's that way. And so for her to just her very subtle gestures of receiving
mm.
my inquiries. You must be a lesbian because you got the short hair. No, I'm not. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not. Oh, my, this is interesting. No, it's not.
Mm,
All of those things built that relationship, cat and mouse. And so, don't you miss your brother? My brother, hell no. He had a real money problem. He didn't give me any.
mm,
Um, one time that son of a bitch told me to meet him at the docks, buy some beer and some bait, spent my whole paycheck on that. One time that son of a bitch told me to meet him at the dock. We go fishing. And I've spent my whole paycheck on bait and beer, and he shows up with my ex-wife. What? And bang, I'm shot. Okay.
mm,
And right in the middle of that story. And, we had choreographed what that was going to look like because that was CGI and the artists, the editors needed to have something very specific for that. So after the hit, the headshot, then the rest was up to Melissa,
mm.
and so she built all that. God bless her.
Did Melissa know that your character was going to get killed off at the time, like, or was that
Yes,
yeah? Okay, yeah,
yes,
because
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we had known. The whole cast knew 3 weeks in advance.
mm,
And I had been told a couple of weeks prior to that they weren't sure how it was going to go.
mm,
But when they made the decision, they let everybody know, and it was very sad. Everybody was sad to see me go and see
mm,
Axel go. But I was determined not to show up that day of work when we were doing this to make it
yeah,
a sad day. I wanted to be quite happy,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we were going to tell this
Wanted them to
story,
feel
and
it
we were going to
real.
get together because
Yeah,
that serves the gut punch, right?
yeah.
Oh no, not Axel. Wow. Some people say they threw the remote.
Wow.
No, very shocked. They had asked me, look, how do you see this? And I said, I don't know. You're the writers. You're excellent at what you do. You're the best in Hollywood at what you do. What could I say? I can't offer.
Mm,
But I will. I remember when I saw John F. Kennedy, these tapes of him being shot in the head and assassinated with a headshot. It was definite. It was took your breath away that could happen. I think a headshot is ultra violent. I wouldn't
mm,
mind that. So you don't want to reanimate as a what? No, no, I do
yeah.
not. I do not want to go into that makeup chair for 4 hours and do that. I'm gonna go take a vacation in Hawaii, and Axel's
Yeah,
gonna lay there,
still
as a
gonna be
dumb.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, That's right.
Do
That's
you
right.
do you think yours and Carol's relationship could have been well do you think Axel's and Carol's relationship could have been long term?
There's a really interesting little Easter egg. In one of the episodes, we were meant to be in the scene and we weren't called in from our trailer. And Daryl Dixon, Norman Reedus, covered for us by offering Axel and Carol are in the generator room working
Okay.
on the generator. Axel maybe had a little mechanical, and why Carol was there, maybe she was interested to see what Axel was doing. I don't know, but I'd like
Hmm.
to think they might have been doing a little something in that generator room, at
Okay.
least in
Okay.
my mind's eye. So is
Not too
if
much
that's
detail, but
if
yeah.
that's what you're asking, my answer is yes. I think at the very least there was a friendship. Hey, come with me. Keep me company while I work on this generator. At the
Hmm.
very least. At the very least. Okay. If something else comes, who knows? But in my mind's eye, in my heart, yes, yes, yes.
They still could make a Axel and Carol spin-off. I feel like it could still work at some point.
Yes, I don't know. Lloyd, I'm gonna be honest with you. There was this great conversation about the prison riot when everything went chaos.
Yeah.
And there was going to be this story told by one of us prisoners about how manic it was. And we
Mm.
were thrown into this cafeteria and locked in
Yeah, yeah.
and said, hey, just, save yourselves. Don't open this door. And here's a pistol. Uh, but they killed us all. They didn't
Yeah.
leave one of us alive to tell the story around the campfire.
Wow.
It would have been like a standalone episode. So I don't know how we'd get back to Carol and Axel. I've
Mm.
read stuff, I'm sure, that, the fandom is so devout. Axel did reference, my brother. Uh, that was kind of don't you miss your brother? My brother, hell no, he had a money problem. Reference to my brother, who some people have theorized, one of the characters who we bear a similar resemblance. This is Austin
Mm.
Emilio's character Dwight, who the
Okay.
burn,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
myself. Maybe he's much younger than me, but maybe he could have been my brother. Is that Axel's
Yeah,
brother? Is that
yeah,
what that?
yeah. To be fair, I feel like there could be some sort of connection between you and Dwight, Axel and Dwight. So
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
there's great with the fan theories. Yes,
Yeah,
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 I appreciate them. Yeah, I don't know how we could go back and do a Carol because I think Carol's got her hands full with the
mm.
Daryl spinoff. She went all the way to Europe to
Yeah,
find him.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty wild.
Golly, she's over in your continent. What the hell? Uh,
How do you feel about the spin-offs that's happened? Like, do you think they're
I'm in
good shows?
favor for
Yeah,
what I had mentioned because it keeps the franchise alive.
yeah.
It keeps feeding an audience that's been grown up with the show. I think it keeps informing the audience. I think it grows new fans. So yeah, I'm okay with it. Yeah, I like
Why do
them.
you think the main show itself stopped? Like, do you think there's a real reason behind it? Like was it COVID? Was it
No, I don't
storyline?
think so
Yeah.
much. I think there was I personally think when it started getting too big for itself, they wanted to consider splintering off and making more controllable storylines that they
Okay.
could put more focus instead of broad stroke, soft focus on, and now what's Negan gonna do, and what are the survivors gonna do, and are we gonna introduce another group? And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I feel like they just were able to compartmentalize. On a personal note, I think the show when the sheriff left, if I'm going to be honest, when the sheriff left the show left the story.
yeah, yeah.
And so I that's just my opinion. And I feel like when they got themselves painted into a corner of where do we go from here? Let's break it down,
Do
right?
you think Andrew generally got tired? Portraying the character. Like, do you think that's a real thing, or do you think um Do you think they killed him off and made a mistake for his character? Yeah.
Look, Andrew Lincoln loved that character,
Mm,
and that story loved Andrew Lincoln portraying that character. They didn't do anything that Andrew Lincoln didn't request or sign off on.
mm,
My opinion is that Andrew Lincoln and that goat that we had talked about
yeah.
realized the change and opted not to be part of the change. So
Right.
what's the change? I don't know. Evolution. We're going to tell more stories. We're going to be a little bit. Wait, are all roads not leading to the sheriff anymore?
Mm.
I don't mind that. It's not, it's about me, but what's the story then? What's the story we're telling? Oh, you're not sure or you want to expand. Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that, but I'm not sure I'm part of that. So I'm gonna
So
tap out.
do you think there was something he saw that he didn't want to be a part of for his character? Maybe.
Yes, as an
Yeah.
opinion, yes. I've never spoke to him about that. That's
Mm,
an opinion. That's an opinion, yes.
okay. Wow.
What do you think?
Something similar. I don't really have a thought in mind, really. I generally think that he did a lot of work for the show and he actually
Yeah,
generally wanted a
yeah,
break as well.
yeah. Make no mistake.
Maybe he
The
earned the money
decision
he
was
needed.
his. He made the decision.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think he might have made the money he needed as well. Who knows?
Oh,
Yeah.
I think Andrew Lincoln didn't. I don't believe that Andrew Lincoln spent a minute on set to make a dime.
Mm,
When he was hired to show up in Georgia to play Rick Grimes, I don't think he thought like this could really set my family up.
mm,
And when he left the show after 8 seasons, I don't think he thought, well, I've
mm.
I've made a lot of money doing this. He is an artist at the
Yeah, yeah.
purest form, and I think
It was more
he
of a
left.
personal thing. Yeah.
I think he left when he felt it was time to leave,
Mm.
and I respect him. We all respect him. The show. I don't think there's any hard feelings. No, none,
No, no, of
none,
course.
none. And I
Um,
think there's mutual respect, and I'm just proud to have had the opportunity to work with him.
what was not yours directly, but what was the estimate, sort of pay range for each episode for an actor like at the time on the show? Was it quite a good pay rate to be a
I
part
would
of that
say
franchise?
AMC was competitive with every other network. Um, I would say nobody was. Um,
Underpaid.
no, I would say for the work that we were doing, we were underpaid
Oh, okay. Yeah.
because the work we were doing, you couldn't put a price on it. How's
Mm,
that?
okay.
Now, there's definitely a difference in pay scale between uh, cable AMC and network, our network stations. Let's call it ABC, NBC, CBS.
Mm,
Okay. So we weren't making network pay. We were making moderate cable pay,
okay.
which would be a little bit better than what streaming pay is today. How's that? So
So
we were right in the middle. And I think it wasn't about being paid as much as it was being part of a good story.
yeah, 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 yeah. That makes sense. But I know the pay was quite
And
high
we've
though
had, and you know, we
from
go
recent.
out and we get to still be part of the audience. I do fan conventions and I come home with a few bucks in my pocket, and that's kind of the gift that keeps on giving, right?
Mm, mm. That long lasting audience and yeah,
Yeah.
love for it. Well, do you have a favorite Walking Dead quote?
Quote,
Yeah, yeah. What's your favorite Walking Dead quote?
we were in the prison and he was he was trying to rally us to deal with the governor.
Yeah.
And he said, like, if this is living, I'm looking forward to dying. And
Okay.
it just struck me as like, wow, this is a guy that's done nothing but survive and help others survive. And yet here he is sort of just done with it all. It's just, and that was just season three. Hell,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
had a lot more. Little did he know where he was going. So
Mm.
season three also was so interesting because he was dealing with the loss of his wife, Lori,
Yeah.
and seeing her sort of so he took a lot of Shakespeare to his work. He took a lot of King Lear,
Mm.
a lot of Hamlet to his work in
Wow.
those prison scenes, and that's what I mean about. And it was so heavy. It was such just burdensome work on Andrew Lincoln that he
It was
was.
a deep show. It was a very deep show. It was a
Good
lot.
Lord, yeah. And keep in
Wow.
mind, I don't know if you know this, but he's British.
Mm.
So he had to be a Southern Georgia guy. So that was work with a dialect coach. That just didn't,
Yeah.
he had to work at that,
Mm.
let alone this
There's no other
tragic.
show. There's no other show or characters like it as well. I don't know why. I know The Walking Dead is The Walking Dead, but nobody can copy it, can they? Nobody seems to be able to make another show
Yeah.
just
Also,
as
I don't
good.
understand. I mean, on a personal level, I've offered a lot of personal opinions here. One of which is why he in particular, or everyone in particular that did such good work, didn't get critical acclaim.
Mm.
Like what's the equivalent to a BAFTA for that, or an Emmy? A nod. We seldom, and it was almost, well, you're so popular and the fans love you. We're not going to give you credit for the great acting work that you did, the great, theater that you did, the great, authentic, emotional, cut your veins open and bleed in front of an audience work that
Mm.
you did. I just never felt we got that credit. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, that's interesting. Um, Time's running out again, Lou. Thank you so much. Just quickly, who would you like to see next on the show from The Walking Dead?
Oh, oh, my brother, Oscar. I love
I
Vincent
just had
Ward.
Oscar on actually. He's just been uploaded, funnily enough.
Oh, well then I'm excited. Oh,
Um,
that's very
just
cool.
just had
How
Anne
about
Mahoney.
how about Tobin? How about Jason Douglas, who played Tobin, someone else
Oh
who had
yeah,
a little
yeah,
relationship with Carol? Huh?
yeah,
Let's see
yeah.
how
That
the
works. That follows
sort
through
of
nicely.
sort of someone with a different, like an everyman, like a guy that, just a guy that sells insurance who isn't trying to
Mm,
be reformed in prison.
that could work.
Yeah, maybe it's a podcast about all of Carol's friends.
Mm.